Your electric bill may look like a private household expense, but it is increasingly connected to a larger economic shift involving artificial intelligence, data centers, power grids, utility planning, and the question of who pays when a fast-growing digital industry requires more electricity. For ordinary Americans, this is not only a technology issue. It is part of the cost of living. Electricity is not optional. Families need it to cool their homes, cook food, charge phones, run medical devices, keep lights on, and manage daily life. Renters pay for it. Homeowners pay for it. Retirees on fixed income pay for it. Small businesses pay for it. When the electric system becomes more expensive to build, maintain, and expand, some of that pressure can eventually reach the monthly bill. The rise of artificial intelligence has created a new source of electricity demand. AI is not limited to apps, search boxes, or chat windows. It depends on physical buildings filled with servers, cooling systems, backup power, substations, transmission lines, and grid connections. The Department of Energy and Berkeley National Laboratory reported that U.S. data centers used about 58 terawatt-hours of electricity in 2014. By 2023, that number had reached about 176 terawatt-hours. Over that period, data center electricity use roughly tripled. In 2023, data centers represented about 4.4% of total U.S. electricity consumption. In a power system that requires constant planning and reliability, even a few percentage points can matter when demand is rising quickly and infrastructure takes years to build. The same research projected that by 2028, U.S. data centers could use between 325 and 580 terawatt-hours of electricity. That would equal about 6.7% to 12% of total U.S. electricity consumption. This does not mean every household bill will suddenly rise because of AI. Electricity bills are shaped by several factors, including fuel costs, weather, local utility rates, infrastructure spending, state regulation, and cost allocation. But the research does show that data centers are becoming a much larger source of electricity demand, at a time when the U.S. power system is already under pressure. The Energy Information Administration projected that U.S. electricity consumption would rise from 4,195 billion kilowatt-hours in 2025 to 4,248 billion kilowatt-hours in 2026, and then to 4,379 billion kilowatt-hours in 2027. That would mean record-high electricity use in both 2026 and 2027. EIA also projected average U.S. residential electricity prices at 18.2 cents per kilowatt-hour in 2026, nearly 5% higher than in 2025, followed by an increase of about 2% in 2027. For households, these figures do not arrive as national statistics. They arrive as a higher summer cooling bill, a higher winter utility payment, or another monthly expense alongside groceries, insurance, rent, transportation, and debt payments. The economic meaning is straightforward. AI data centers are not only private technology investments. They may require infrastructure that serves the wider electricity system. Utilities may need more generation capacity. Grid operators may need more reliability planning. Regions may need new substations and transmission upgrades. Regulators may need to decide how those costs are allocated. When a small number of very large customers create major new electricity demand, the cost question becomes important. Some costs may be assigned to those large customers. Some may be spread through the wider system, depending on utility rules, market design, and regulatory decisions. That pressure is already visible in regional power markets. PJM Interconnection, the largest U.S. power grid operator, has become one of the key regions to watch. In its 2026 and 27 capacity auction, prices cleared at $329.17 per megawatt day, up 22% from the previous auction. Capacity markets are not the same as household electric bills. They are part of the power system that pays resources to be available when electricity demand is high. But when capacity costs rise, those costs can eventually flow into customer bills depending on the region, utility, and regulatory structure. Reuters reported that the PJM auction could translate into potential bill increases of 1.5% to 5%. That does not mean every customer sees the same increase. It means pressure in the power market can become pressure in household budgets. Monitoring Analytics, PJM's independent market monitor, identified data center load growth as a primary reason for recent and expected capacity market conditions. That connects a technical market signal to a basic household concern. The grid is being asked to prepare for more demand, and preparation costs money. The pressure is not evenly distributed across the country. Northern Virginia has become one of the largest data center hubs in the country. Dominion Energy is a major utility in that region, where data center demand is especially important. Texas is another pressure point. ERCOT, the Texas grid operator, reported reliability concerns in 2026 tied to large load projects, including data centers and crypto sites, after some failed voltage disturbance tests. This does not mean data centers are causing blackouts. It means large new electricity users can create technical challenges that grid operators must address before they connect safely and reliably. Georgia is also part of the same trend. Georgia Power received approval for a large capacity expansion, with reporting showing 10,000 megawatts of added capacity by 2031. About 80% of that planned capacity was earmarked for data centers. That shows how data center demand can reshape long-term utility planning. The issue is not simply that more electricity is needed. Economic growth often requires more electricity. The issue is timing, scale, and who pays. Power plants are not built overnight. Transmission lines can take years. Substations require planning and equipment. Natural gas plant delays, equipment constraints, solar plus storage development, and interconnection queues can all affect how quickly supply catches up with demand. AI-related demand is moving quickly, and that speed creates pressure. For a large technology company, electricity is part of the cost of building an AI business. For a household, electricity is part of daily life. That difference matters. A data center may use power to train models, run cloud services, and support digital tools. A family uses power to keep the air conditioner running during a heat wave. A retiree uses power for lights, refrigeration, and medical equipment. A small business uses power to keep operating. When the same grid has to serve everyone, cost allocation becomes more than a technical issue. It is not yet clear how much of the future cost will fall on data centers, how much will be absorbed through special tariffs or contracts, and how much may eventually reach ordinary ratepayers. It is also uncertain whether every announced data center project will be built. Some projects may be delayed, canceled, or redesigned. Not every region will face the same pressure. Not every utility will make the same decisions. Some regulators may require large load customers to pay more directly for grid upgrades. Some companies may secure their own power agreements. Some utilities may recover costs through broader rate increases. The details matter, because electricity costs are local even when the AI boom is national. A careful conclusion is not that AI alone is raising every electric bill in America. The more accurate conclusion is that AI-driven data center growth is becoming a major new source of electricity demand. That demand is putting pressure on power planning, capacity markets, and grid infrastructure in certain regions. In some cases, that pressure could reach household bills. For middle-class Americans, this fits into a larger financial pattern. Housing costs have risen. Insurance has become more expensive in many places. Food remains costly for many households. Car ownership is more expensive. Credit card balances can carry high interest. Electricity is another basic monthly bill connected to a broader system most people do not see. The AI boom may support new services, new companies, new tax revenue, and new infrastructure investment. But it also has physical costs. Some of those costs are visible inside data centers. Others are embedded in the electric grid. When demand rises, capacity must be built. Upgrades must be financed. Reliability must be managed. Those costs have to be assigned somewhere. That is why this story matters to ordinary Americans. Not because every electric bill can be blamed on AI, and not because data centers are the only source of pressure on the grid. It matters because the digital economy has a physical bill. And that bill may not stay entirely within the technology industry. As of now, U.S. electricity demand is projected to hit record highs in 2026 and 2027. Residential electricity prices are also projected to rise. Data centers are a confirmed and growing part of the demand story. But the household impact depends on location, utility decisions, regulatory rules, and how much future data center construction actually happens. America is building an AI economy that needs far more electricity. The grid has to keep up. Utilities and regulators have to decide how costs are shared. Families already managing a tight cost of living environment may feel part of that pressure through one of the most unavoidable bills they pay. The electric bill on the kitchen table may seem small compared with the scale of the AI boom, but it is where the issue becomes personal. Behind every new data center, capacity auction, utility plan, and grid upgrade is a practical question for households. How much of this new power demand will reach the monthly bill?